Today we have an epic episode, guys. We're gonna see for the first time behind the scenes of the KTM production line here in Austria and how they built the brand new KTM 990 RCR. We're gonna go to the beginning of the production line where they have the engines and all the way up to the end product, the whole bike. And later on, of course, we're gonna also test it on the road. So I'm gonna ask now a lot of questions, how they do it, why they do it, what components they have. Let's enjoy the vlog. Let's go build some bikes. First station is the engine station. It's actually an engine from the Duke 990, 947cc. It has more power than the 990 Duke, 130 PS, Euro 5 Plus. Unfortunately, that does make the bike sound quieter, but still, I heard that the 990 RCR has a really good sound, even stock. So I'm gonna see later on if this is true. It's 54 something kilograms heavy. Now we're gonna bring it and marry it with the exhaust. And we're gonna marry it with a frame. The tubular frame is something that KTM is popular, or let's say famous for. All the bikes always use tubular frames, even in the MotoGP. Headers are on, and the next thing is what I don't like on the new bikes, but it needs to be done, Euro 5 Plus compatibility, another catalytic converter. So yeah, this is now assembled. So now the engine meets for the first time the production line. Boom. Swing arm is now on the bike. Let's continue. We're gonna make sure that this bike keeps in touch with the tarmac. So we're gonna actually install the suspension, the rear part. And the specialty here is very unique. On the 990 Duke, you don't have this. It's actually a linkage system. It's something completely new for the 990 RCR. So let's put this on the bike. Next up is the rear suspension. WP Apex suspension, front and rear, fully adjustable. So next level, almost racing suspension for the street and the racetrack. So let's put this on the linkage now. So how many bikes in one day you produce? What's the plan for today?
So 50 pieces.
Around 50? Okay, man, that's a lot because it's a pretty complex unit. Suspension is already now on the engine and the frame. And now we're gonna apply the subframe. How many years do you work here already?
Already 4 years.
How is making the coolest and most exciting bikes on the planet? You're making us happy, right?
Yeah, can come true.
Okay, okay.
I always wanted to work on border bikes or something like that.
Okay.
Everything with wheels, cars, everything like that. Just makes me happy.
Okay, leave it like this. Cable out. Don't scratch the paint. We're gonna hear it from the boss, you know? Now we are actually connecting the airbox with the injection system. Boom.
Yeah.
And that was easy. What is missing? The front forks and the wheels. We are now attaching cooling system, but that's pretty huge. If I compare to the 990 Duke, this has a way bigger cooling system, probably because the engine produces more power and needs to cool a bit more, and it has a lot of fairing around. So he's now putting a steering damper on it, and next up is the front suspension. Now we're gonna install the WP Apex suspension, a pretty beefy front forks, 48 mil, fully adjustable. I leave to the master. Okay. So the front forks and then the top clamp, handlebars, and we can continue to the next one. Oh, that's a pretty sick thing. So it's actually a loop in it. So to put the loop on the bearings, and now the marriage. I like how KTM designed the buttons, big buttons, enough distance between them, so if you have a fat glove, you can't miss the button, especially this button here. Super easy to change the modes of riding when you are, you want to go from street to race or whatever. I really dig this new design of buttons. Front mask on. So the 990 RCR is actually using the brand new Brembo high pure calipers. It's a brand new caliper on the market. Yeah, that's pretty sick. It actually means premium parts on that bike. Now we need to make sure that this bike is actually cooling. It has a cooling system, but now we need to bleed it and fill up, right?
Yes.
Make your magic. First is putting air in it to check if it leaks, right?
If it leaks.
If the whole system has leaks, and after that, it's probably then filling up the system. Okay, so now the whole system is checking if it's all okay and if it's leaking somewhere by actually pressing air into the system, and if everything is alright, we fill it up with cooling water. And now you see here, goes up. Man, so many bikes, huh? I want to see how quick he can mount the rear tire because I always struggle with it. I call this magic because I always freaking lose my nerves when I put the rear wheel on my KTM bikes, because it's actually very hard to put the disc brake in and not lose this spacer. Let me see how you do it.
Done.
We have 17-inch wheels front and rear. 100 Newton meters, okay, just in case you want to know. And they are also already using Power Cup Michelin tires, which are super grippy. I tried it many years ago on the 890R, and unbelievable how much grip they produce. This bike definitely needs racing tires. Now we're gonna put the fuel tank with Gabor from Hungary. Here are the specs: fuel consumption and fuel capacity. But by the way, it's pretty light, that tank. Very interesting thing about this scanner, why they scan, is actually that they see on the end if everything was done on the bike, and later on through the years they can actually track if there is a problem with the bike or the part. Let's say 2 years later, for instance, the brake is leaking, so they can track when it was produced and how many bikes are affected for that. So that's why they are scanning the whole bike when they apply products or let's say parts on the bike, which is pretty cool feature, not only about the bike but the whole production here. Here the bikes gets alive, so you see a lot of cables going in and so on. So this cable, they connect it and turn the bike for the first time on. This way they are actually checking if all the wiring connections are properly attached and if everything works, and then this bike becomes alive. And that thing is pretty neat actually. If I would have this at home, it would save a lot of nerves, because bleeding brakes, as a stunt rider, every stunt rider would know it's a pain in the ass, and with that it's all automatic. It actually bleeds it and pumps fresh brake oil in it. Pretty neat thing. It's a brand new dash on this 990 RCR. It's a touchscreen, super colorful, all important information, pretty big. You don't need a lot of details. You just always want to have the most important information on the go. So you have a pretty neat mode button where you can toggle between the different modes, from rain, sport, racing, custom and so on. Also you can adjust different things, and it's also pretty interesting. Usually they have like a 9-inch or 10-inch display, but this is now this shape. It's pretty interesting, and they're gonna use this TFT disc screen in the future KTM bikes. Now we're gonna make the final touch on the bike, the side fairings, and make it nice. The fairings are now on, and now the last station. Boom! The 990 RCR is finished. It's missing the windshield and the rear seat, but this is applied at the dealer. And yeah, now it's time to take one of those and go to the beautiful Mounty Road and try out if it's only a race bike or if it's actually also cool to ride on the streets. Let's see. So we are in the Austrian Alps, enjoying the twisty road. First impressions, as you know, I'm a huge fan of the parallel twin engine. The thing that I like is that you don't need to rev it that high to accelerate out of the corner. It's so torquey, and you don't need to be a professional rider to use its potential. I would say every amateur rider can easily enjoy that bike. Even though it looks so super sporty and aggressive, it's actually super easy to ride. Let me quickly show you a few more features. Dual adjustability on the footrest, race and street. Believe me or not, the most comfortable pillion seat in its category. And just look at this aggressive face. Newly designed rider seat with amazing ergonomics. What is so far your favorite thing about this RC 990?
I would say the looks. It just looks great.
Such like a MotoGP bike on the road, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Guess why this bike has this underbelly spoiler? This one, you see here?
For some kind of wind resistance or wind, I don't know.
Actually, when you brake hard, that it doesn't lift the rear wheel, so that the rear wheel actually stays in touch with the asphalt as much as possible. It has a lot of aerodynamics, such as those wings, you know, so high speed stabilization. Those ones are that they bring the heat distribution, and also here, those holes here help to cool down the bike better. So actually this tank has this shape here. So this is then that you can put your leg under it when you lean hard in the corners, and it also has this line here, so it's easier to squeeze it between the legs. Okay, let's continue riding. And the next thing I want to point out is the suspension. On the front and rear WP, fully adjustable suspension. Today we are riding on let's say smooth and bumpy roads, and it absorbs very smooth. I have a constant smooth ride, even though this is a super sport bike. I didn't adjust the suspension as I got it, so probably you can adjust it to have it even smoother for the road. What an amazing end of the day. Just look at this sunset and this valley. This location is like a dream. Thank you, Laura from KTM, for giving us this tip to come to this location. Such an amazing place. On the top you saw we had the snow and it was pretty cold, so I couldn't go all in with that bike. I need to be careful because there were some wet spots and I didn't want to crash that beautiful bike today. This is my short road test. You could see also how this bike is produced. This is for me personally a highlight of the day. So I hope I can give you some insights and the first impressions how this bike feels actually on the street. If you're looking more for a racetrack review, you have plenty of them on YouTube already. That's our short video. I hope you liked it, and I would say we need to bring that bike to our local racetrack, to the Linda Ring, where we just did my personal lap record with the newest 1390 Super Duke R Evo. I also want to stunt that bike. All that next season. Thanks for watching. See you in the next vlog. Until then, rock on.